WWE's Fastlane pay-per-view takes place this Sunday, which means this week's Raw was the Red Brand's final chance to set anything up for the show. After winning the United States Heavyweight Championship from Bobby Lashley at the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view, Riddle immediately entered into a feud with Mustafa Ali. Tonight saw the leader of Retribution get an opportunity to take the title away from him. Speaking of Lashley, this was the Almighty's first Raw as the WWE Champion after defeating, his second Raw rather, after defeating The Miz to win the title 2 weeks ago. The Hurt Business may have gained the new championship, but it also had to defend the Raw tag titles against the New Day tonight. With that, let's recap everything that happened on tonight's edition, this go-home edition to Fastlane from Monday Night Raw. Welcome, everybody, to Ridiculously Raw, the most must-see show on YouTube and StreamYard.com today. I am your host, Anthony Floyo, joined as always by good old MF Michael Fletcher. Maybe awaiting the presence of Michael Bullock. I don't know. We'll see. If he comes in, we'll catch him up on what he missed. If not, then we'll hopefully see him Wednesday night for our special edition of Wednesday Night Mayhem. We'll get into that at the end. Unfortunately, Dee Dee Woodson will not be joining us this evening. She's out of tonight's show. So for the moment, MF and I will be running things. But if Bullock comes in, we'll get his thoughts. So, yes, sir. Go home show for Fastlane. And without any further ado, we opened up the show. We started it off with an in-ring segment. Bobby Lashley, the WWE champion, along with MVP, cutting a promo, interrupted by The Miz and John Morrison, and then interrupted by Drew McIntyre. And it led into a match, 2-for-1 deal. We had a match, Drew McIntyre squaring off against The Miz. Drew McIntyre wins the match, 11 minutes and 20 seconds. But the big story that came out of this, at WrestleMania, Drew McIntyre gets his opportunity to become a 3-time WWE champion, as he will challenge Bobby Lashley for the WWE championship at WrestleMania 37. Very surprising, considering that I heard some rumors. I read some dirt sheets over the weekend saying that there was rumors going around that they wanted to do Drew McIntyre versus Sheamus in a last man standing match with the WrestleMania title shot on the line. But no, they just thrust Drew right in there. So, but Drew McIntyre and Sheamus will go one-on-one this Sunday at Fastlane. That is confirmed, but it's not the last man standing match that we were kind of hoping for. But yeah, The Miz and McIntyre are both veterans who know how to put a match together, but their lack of chemistry kept this bout from being anything more than middle of the road. The opening segment unfolded exactly as you would expect. The Miz wanted a rematch for the WWE title, but so did McIntyre. It was logical, but that also made it predictable. McIntyre using his rival's finisher was a nice way to taunt Lashley. It'll be interesting to see if Lashley attempts to hit somebody with a Claymore in retaliation down the line. 2.5 stars for the match, but and the segment was so-so, but I did like Lashley's promo there. I like that though. But then once Miz and Morrison showed up, well, that killed any momentum that segment garnered. But nonetheless, MF, come on in. Drew McIntyre, Bobby Lashley, WWE Championship, WrestleMania 37.
Exclusively on the Peacock in the United States and on the WWE Network all over the world. It's going to be an interesting matchup, no doubt about it. It was what we expected it to be going into this. We were wondering how they were going to get there. Well, it seems like we got there. So now we got that. McIntyre gets a nice little momentum boost. Finally putting The Miz away once and for all. No more debate. No more nothing. and now he's got a fight with Sheamus at the Fastlane that's going down Sunday. And if it's anything like the battles that they've had in the past, it's going to be one hell of a fight. And I wonder what Bobby Lashley's going to be doing. I would hope that they would have him battle somebody at least. Maybe not for the title. You save that for WrestleMania, obviously, but I would like to see Lashley in a match. Let him get some momentum heading to WrestleMania, the biggest event of the year. So, yeah, the match is about 2.25, 2.5. Lashley's promo, though, I wasn't as sold as you were, Florio. I mean, it was okay, but it was nothing to write home about, to be completely honest. But nothing more to say. Florio, let's move on. It's yours.
All right, and MF, you'll be starting off our next thing here. All right, we talked about McIntyre and The Miz. All right. Then we had a women's tag team matchup. Mandy Rose and Dana Brooke squaring off against Naomi and Lana. Mandy Rose, Dana Brooke, they win the match 4.5 minutes. We're not gonna really get into this because the match was forgettable mostly. I hate to say it, but well, actually, I'm 50-50 on it. I mean, judging by the time, the time of the fall, that makes it a ho-hum diva fight. But for the most part, it was kind of a little bit of a nice little sprint for the most part. I mean, we know Lana's green as grass, but, Mandy and Dana, they've improved. Naomi's always been great, and their athleticism sold it, but not a lot to say about the match. It wasn't horrible, but it wasn't good either. Lana did look better than usual in the ring, but that just brought her close to everyone else's level. But if you noticed, Asuka's back. The Raw Women's Champion, Asuka. I mean, there have been concerns about her possibly not, because she suffered a concussion a number of weeks ago at the hands of Shayna Baszler, which literally knocked out one of her teeth. And it was doubtful that she was going to clear concussion protocol in time for WrestleMania. Well, she obviously did tonight, so that's very good news. Definitely I'm definitely breathing a huge sigh of relief to have my women's champion back in action. So I'm very happy about that. And the stuff with Asuka and Baszler, it felt forced and unnecessary. The 50-50 booking with the tag team division is getting old. WWE either needs to commit to making the women's tag titles matter or merge them with the new NXT women's tag titles and let the black and gold brand do it. But it was probably about a 1 to 1.5 star match at best. So not much more to say, but we're definitely going to get into this. The first of our 2 championship matches this evening. Raw Tag Team Championship on the line. Champions Cedric Alexander and Shelton Benjamin of the Hurt Business defending against the former 10-time tag team champions Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods of the New Day. Winners of the match in 13 minutes and 20 seconds. And once again, your Raw Tag Team Champions for the 11th time, Kofi Kingston, Xavier Woods, new champions crowned here tonight. But wait, there's more. After the match was over, New Day celebration gets interrupted by the phenomenal AJ Styles and Omos. And AJ throws down the gauntlet and says, Omos and I want to challenge you for the Raw Tag Team Championship at WrestleMania 37. New Day accepts, and then management made it official. So yes, folks, it is official. It will happen. Kofi and Xavier will defend the Raw Tag Team Championship against the phenomenal AJ Styles, and making his in-ring debut, Omos. Whoa. But first off, Monsoon, I think you got a little something you want to say here. New champion. You know what that means.
Yeah, it is. History has been made here in the Thunderdome tonight with now the 11-time tag team champions. It doesn't matter if it's from Raw, SmackDown, whatever. They are now WWE tag team champions for the 11th time in their history. That is unbelievable. That's great. However, after AJ threw the gauntlet and said that Omos is going to be in the match with them, boys, hold on to those belts, because either April 10 or April 11, you're losing those belts to AJ Styles and Omos.
Agreed.
I'm calling it right now.
Agreed.
We're going to have new tag team champions come WrestleMania. It's going to be the crowning achievement for AJ Styles. AJ right now has had a couple of big WrestleMania moments in his career. Beating Randy Orton, beating Shinsuke Nakamura, successfully defending the WWE Championship at the time. And now he's going to get another WrestleMania moment by becoming the new Raw Tag Team Champion with the big man, Omos, at Raymond James, at Raymond James Stadium. So AJ Styles, for all of the stuff that's happened in his career, he's been through some big events, and his track record's been pretty good at WrestleMania. But what a bounce back it'll be for him after being in, I guess you consider the main event of night one in the Boneyard match, which many people believes in many circles as the fight of the year last year. Now he gets an opportunity to make more history at WrestleMania. If he wins this, oh my goodness. You thought he's phenomenal. He becomes legendary if he wins at WrestleMania. And for the big guy, Omos, what a moment for him. His first official match in WWE is going to be at WrestleMania.
For a title.
For a title, yes. So, big moment, big stage. And yes, they're saying right now it's only going to be 30,000. However,
they want to expand.
There's rumblings that
45.
There's been rumblings about maybe 45. And actually, the UFC just announced that they're going to be doing I think a pay-per-view in Jacksonville, and they've opened up full capacity, 100%.
Oh. Wow.
Maybe, is it possible WrestleMania with 60,000?
Oh, that would be awesome.
It's not out of the realm of possibility.
Certainly.
Yes, at first we were thinking 30. Now we're hearing 45. But after what the UFC just did today, because they just announced this today, that there's an event coming up in Jacksonville, and they are going to have full capacity in their arena. And this is Florida. Remember. Now does WWE start to talk to Raymond James and say, you know what? Let's open it up. Give us the full stadium. Give us the 60,000. It's possible. It's very possible. So 45 is still a big number, because that's going to fill. Because here's the thing. You could fill literally the lower end, the ringside area, and even the middle, that middle section of Raymond James Stadium, minus the upper deck, because that's where you get the 60 capacity. But for 45, you could literally fill almost the entire stadium. If you go all the way around, all you have to do is you have to rope off the upper deck, the upper tier of Raymond James. And if you put the middle and the low end, you could fill that baby up.
Absolutely.
So it's possible. It's humanly possible, but I'm happy for the New Day. I'm ecstatic that the New Day are once again the champions. But it almost makes me wonder, why did they do it that way? Why did they could have waited for the pay-per-view to do it. Why
true.
not? Why tonight? That was actually a little bit of interesting booking, but I am ecstatic. You know I'm a big New Day fan.
Of course.
But I can't do my little... Well, wait a minute. I probably could if I wanted to. Didi ain't here.
It wouldn't be the same without Bullock, but, you know.
Yeah, true. If Bullock was here, then we could do it because...
Yeah, he does the trombone. He does the trombone.
Yeah, he's got his own little Francesca, so we can't
With it.
Yeah, we can't do it with... He doesn't have his little... We don't have Bullock. Bullock doesn't have Frenchie with them. So
No.
yeah, we can't do it. We'll do it another night. If some way somehow they successfully retain at WrestleMania, we'll do it. But I don't believe they're gonna. But
no.
Yeah.
I agree with you. But
this is still
but what a match though, right?
Oh, this was an excellent match. I could even call it possibly fight of the night.
Certainly.
I'll easily give this 3 to 3.5 stars. This was an excellent match. Yeah, Florio's yours.
Yeah. Great matchup here. As great as it is to see the New Day with the tag titles back, this did not feel like the right time to take the belts off of the Hurt Business, especially since Bobby Lashley just won the WWE Championship 2 weeks ago. And it would have been nice if the group had most of the gold for a little while, you know, a la the Undisputed Era recently. But as far as this match is concerned, it was a great exchange between two teams that have been the best Raw has to offer for months. This rivalry has produced some fun encounters, but this might have been their best. I will give this 3.5 to 3 3/4 of a star. And the addition of Styles and Omos to the tag team division will add some needed variety. Omos is an unknown when it comes to his wrestling ability, but his size makes him a threat to anyone. He and Styles have a Shawn Michaels and Diesel thing going that could be great if done right. And I'm right there with you, MF. I 100% agree with you. I think the New Day will be transitional champs. They're only going to hold it for about a month or so, and they will drop the titles to Styles and Omos. I mean, and it's a double win-win. It would give AJ Styles another accomplishment because AJ Styles has never been a tag team champion. He's never been a co-holder of either the Raw or SmackDown tag team championships. I don't recall him ever getting a tag team title opportunity because he's always been a singles guy and he's done everything there is to do. He's been a multi-time WWE champion, a multi-time United States heavyweight champion, and now he can add a Raw tag team championship to that. And as far as Omos is concerned, do you really think they're going to have Omos lose his first match? I mean, I have wanted to see this guy wrestle for the longest time, and we've seen some of the things he's been able to do already. We've seen Omos get physically involved in several matches over the last few months, and man, some of the things he does, I mean, he's got that freakish strength, and man, it's going to be so fun to watch him finally wrestle and to have his very first match on the grandest stage of all for a championship. It's not often you can say my first match was not only for a championship, but it was also on the grandest stage of them all as well. Big moment for Omos, and I would love to see him get it. I really do. So, but 3.5, 3 3/4 of a star. Definitely, you could definitely make an argument for fight of the night. Although there is another match on this card that you can easily make an argument for as well. But we'll get into that after. Then and then some 24/7 silliness. Bad Bunny basically pulled an Andre the Giant here and gave R-Truth the 24/7 championship a la Ted DiBiase and that whole shtick back in the 88 main event. but it was because, Austin 316 Day and R-Truth gave Bad Bunny a replica of the Smoking Skull belt of Stone Cold Steve Austin's. So, and he was like, you know what? I like this a lot better. So I'm just going to give you your baby back. And R-Truth didn't even have to, beat him to win. So, okay.
The only reason why they didn't want to do it is because of the fact that sometimes celebrities, they don't want to put them on the news like that. They don't want to put them on blast. Unlike what Rob Gronkowski was. Gronkowski's an athlete, so he can deal with that. They didn't want to do that. They didn't want to make Bad Bunny look bad. So by doing it this way was actually the most appeasable way to let him go, let him, he could lose the title graciously. However, he'll still be involved with WrestleMania. Bad Bunny will be involved in WrestleMania in some capacity. They've already established it. He is actually on the promotional poster of WrestleMania.
Yes, he is.
So no, this is not the last time we've seen a Bad Bunny and WWE. They're still going to work together. But as far as taking the belt away from him, the 24/7 title, this is probably the most logical way and actually the best way to have done it. I actually have no problems with it.
No, not at all. And he also won a Grammy. He won a Grammy Award last night as part of the Grammy Awards. He won for Best Latin Pop Album.
Yes, congratulations, Bad Bunny, man. The familia, especially on my father's side up in the New York area, they were going bonkers last night, man. They lost it when they found out he won.
Absolutely.
Big fan of his. Big fan of his.
Okay. Yeah, get ready for WrestleMania. That's all I can say, because you know what's going to happen. You know it's going to be him and Damian Priest squaring off against The Miz and John Morrison. And considering this is the celebrity tie-in match, don't be surprised if he goes over. So, because it's not often the celebrity loses at WrestleMania. It's hardly ever happens. So, but anyways, let's move on here. Speaking of Damian Priest, Bad Bunny by his side, he went up against Jackson Riker. Elias in his corner. Damian Priest wins the match, 35 seconds. Absolute dud. This was the worst fight of the night. So we're not even going to waste any time on that. And then we had the latest in the saga with Shane O'Mac and Braun Strowman. Was anyone asking for Shane versus Strowman after last week's abysmal segment? No. This week was much better in creating a personal rivalry to set up a future showdown at WrestleMania, but there is still going to be a vocal section of the WWE Universe that does not want to see Shane back in the ring. If Strowman is not going to pursue a title, this is a good way to use him for now. Shane can always afford to put somebody else over because he is not a regular superstar who lives by wins and losses. He is a corporate jerk who likes to humiliate people, and that makes him a good heel. And that's always made him a good heel.
And he is playing a pretty good snobby, pompous ass heel right now. And that's also the other thing. They're trying to make Strowman the sympathetic figure. They're basically making him like the Big Show. A sympathetic figure. Basically, McMahon's, as usual, trying to stock the odds against a guy, manipulating, using their credibility, using their power or abuse of power in the case of Shane McMahon to try to get over on somebody. And this time around, like we said, do we want to see the match at WrestleMania? No. But if we're going to get it, I think this is one of those times where it's time for Strowman to get comeuppance on Shane McMahon to finally, rid him of this and the whole 9 yards. And plus, Strowman for the most part, other than his glorious moment at last year's WrestleMania, when he finally became the Universal Champion, he really hasn't had. Well, I can't say that because it's always been either a comedy skit or a low tier thing. Winning the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royale, and that's nothing to sneeze at. That's a big deal for him. He won that. Then in turn had Nicholas Cohen, and we all remember that 34. At 34. Winning the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royale in 35. Getting his ultimate WrestleMania moment by winning the Universal title last year, which sucked because it should have been in front of this year's WrestleMania should have been where Strowman was a year ago. And Raymond James with the fans, because the fans would have popped for Strowman finally winning the belt.
Agreed.
But it never happened.
No. And
now he's gonna have to fight Shane McMahon. Now don't get me wrong. Fighting the prodigal son at WrestleMania is nothing to sneeze at. Even though Shane is way up there in age. He's almost near 50 now.
He's 51.
He's 51. But I mean, there was a couple of times they were teasing him and Triple H. If you remember that.
Sure.
There was a couple of times where they were teasing a Triple H versus Strowman fight at Mania. That probably could have been better, honestly. He's a better authority figure to fight with. He's a better authority figure to mess with, too. But, I mean, I get it. So, like we said, we're not all enthused about it, but Strowman continues. He's another one that's been getting pretty good WrestleMania moments in his career. So, not surprised he'll probably get another one, but are we overly excited about it? Nope.
Well, not after this segment. Because this segment was nothing special, but it was miles ahead of what they did last week to kickstart this feud. But then what happened later on? Whoa. Oh my. With what happened there, I mean, Shane O'Mac takes out Strowman with a camera, and then he does the Shane O'Mac leap of faith, that infamous leap that we've known to see him do so many times, including off Hell in a Cell at 32, and then he takes a bucket of slime and slimes Braun Strowman, a la the Nickelodeon Kids' Choice Awards.
Oh.
Definitely takes me back to last summer when Miz and Morrison, when they tried to slime Braun Strowman and they ended up sliming Caleb Braxton instead.
Oh, don't get me started, Florio.
It was just I'm just referencing.
Don't. I know, but that that triggered.
Me too.
I was flipping at that moment.
So was she. I mean, and she dropped an expletive on camera, which made it even cooler. But story for another day. But yeah, but last week though, long story short, last week that was a disaster. The promo segment, another disaster. But when it came to the quote unquote match, that was actually pretty good. So except until the slime part. But who knows? We'll see. But we're not going to get into that. So, anyways, then we had Asuka squaring off against Shayna Baszler in a non-title match. Asuka wins the match in a minute and a half. That's a damn shame because, these are I've gone on the record and I've always said these two were hands down the greatest and most dominant NXT Women's Champions ever. Even though I thought Shayna was a little more dominant than Asuka was, but still, I'm still waiting for the day that they'll let these two tear it up because these two have a damn good match in them. It's just that WWE doesn't give them the time, and that's a damn shame. That women's tag match got longer than this. Nah, honey. But it was a short match, but the entire segment did more to make this feud feel personal than anything that came before it. Seeing Asuka be willing to go to such violent lengths to get what she wants made her appear more dangerous in one segment than her entire title reign. She looked unhinged in ways we haven't seen before. Baszler and Asuka complement each other well with similar styles. If this is building to a singles match for the Raw Women's title down the road, it should be a violent and hard-hitting bout. So I'm just going to leave it at that. United States Heavyweight Championship on the line. This was the other big title match. Riddle defending against Mustafa Ali. Winner of the match, 8 minutes and 50 seconds, and still the United States Heavyweight Champion. It was Riddle. This may have been one of the best matches Riddle has had since coming to the main roster. He sold well for his opponent and looked more focused than usual. Ali is a tremendous performer who is stuck in a storyline that will likely fizzle out soon. WWE is clearly building toward Ali disbanding Retribution or everybody in Retribution turning on him when he gets too angry. But this bout was a highlight on the show. With, typical Monday Night Raw that had more ups and downs than a roller coaster, but still, I would give this, for the effort, I would give this a solid 3 stars because this was a fun little sprint that could have been something more if they had given this more time. But nonetheless, Riddle's still U.S. Heavyweight Champion. MF, I mean, if they could do what they did in about 9 minutes, just think of what they could have done if they had gotten, like, say, 15 or so.
Oh, boy. If they would have 15, maybe 4.5, and Fight of the Night honors. No doubts. Yeah, this was actually 3.5 for me. And this was only 9 minutes? Holy cow, yeah. Easily 4.5 if they got in 15. So because the body of work of both men were so amazing, really good, hard hitting, great action. I can't really say anything bad. I honestly can't. So yeah, no doubt about it. Really nothing more to add. So yeah, Anthony, it's yours.
All right. And then another thing that we have to address here. This is official. We're gonna have ourselves an intergender match at Fastlane. Alexa Bliss versus Randy Orton. Oh, okay. MF, what do we think about this? I mean, you think this is where the Fiend could finally come back?
Oh yeah, Fiend's popping up. There's no doubt about it. They are not going to manipulate a situation like that unless they have Alexa immediately go into Super Fiend mode. Maybe if she goes into Super Fiend mode, we'll see something of that. But yeah, I get it. And I know a lot of people are jumping on this saying that's a horrible idea. No, it works. Because the mind games that happens, the manipulation, it's almost a given the Fiend is coming back. He will be back at Fastlane. And I just don't see how you could... There's going to be a payoff here. And there's going to be a right way to do this. How we get there, that's the $1 million question. We don't know. We'll find that out when we get there. But this will be a very interesting match to see. And I can't wait to see this happen on Fastlane, part of the Peacock Network, which I will be a subscriber. I'm a free subscriber. I haven't upgraded yet. I will. And once I do, I'll be watching that very soon. I'm a free subscriber right now of Peacock. I got that.
Right.
I haven't gotten the $4.99 or the $9.99 yet. I will eventually. This week I will to upgrade it because now that I got my new TV, thank you to the guys hooking me up with a nice Vizio. I showed you the Vizio. It's actually 58-inch, Anthony, not 55. It's a little bigger.
Oh wow.
So with that, it has all the apps. Unfortunately, I don't get ESPN. That's the only downside. But I do get everything else. I got Peacock. I got Disney. So With Peacock, now that WWE's going to be on it, I can watch it from the luxury of my TV.
All right, very good.
So yes.
um,
And I am excited, by the way, for that.
I would be too. Just like with my little device there. But anyways, yeah, I'm right there with you. I mean, I would not at all be surprised if the Fiend were to show up at Fastlane, and this is where we finally get him, and then we can finally start building towards that rumored Firefly Funhouse match at WrestleMania. So we'll see. Main event of the evening: WWE Champion Bobby Lashley one-on-one with the Celtic Warrior Sheamus. Winner of the match, 17 minutes and 40 seconds. Bobby Lashley with the spear. I got to call this the fight of the night. I got to. I'm going to give this 4 to 4.25 stars. This was just two big dudes beating the life out of each other. This is the kind of match pro wrestling is built on, and it was a solid main event for this week's show. Bobby Lashley continued to prove he is still at the top of his game, and Sheamus looked as good as he ever has in this encounter. They made this the most competitive bout of the night. Sheamus does not get enough credit from the WWE Universe. He is a convincing badass who can also put people over better than most. He is as valuable as anyone else on the Monday Night Raw roster right now. So, I got to call this the fight of the night, to be honest with you. 4 to 4.25 stars, and MF, all I can say is this was an MF special. This was a be a man, hoss fight, smash mouth physical, and I know you were grinning like the Cheshire Cat because I know you loved every minute of this.
This was freaking awesome. You're right. I'm going to go one better. 4.25 to 4.5. Fight of the night. Absolutely correct. You know what? This solidified Bobby Lashley as a badass, as the WWE champion. This makes me more excited for his fight with Drew McIntyre now at WrestleMania. And on top of that, props to Sheamus. Sheamus is the Cesaro of Monday Night Raw. A guy that you can rely on, a guy who's a wily veteran, who can fight, who can battle, who can scrap, who can claw, who can do whatever you need him to do. Any battle, any fight, he makes you look like $1,000,000. He did it with Drew McIntyre last week on Monday Night Raw. The last couple of weeks with Drew McIntyre on Monday Night Raw. Does it again with Bobby Lashley here tonight.
And we're getting it again at Fastlane with McIntyre and Sheamus.
And we're getting McIntyre and Sheamus again. That could be another show stealer. I'm telling you right now, this guy, Sheamus, it should be a WWE champion.
Amen.
Should be a WWE champion right now.
Amen.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Whoever gets out of the Lashley versus McIntyre at WrestleMania, which I think a lot of people will agree, it probably will be Drew.
I agree.
This should be the first challenger for the belt.
Definitely.
Nothing more to add, Florio. Go.
Yeah. MF, overall review. Good show tonight.
Good show. Solid. There was some elements where it was not so great. I'm going to openly admit that. I mean, it wasn't the perfect show, but I could give this a solid 6.5 to 7. I mean, it was a decent show. It was definitely passable. It was far better than anything Raw's been in the last month or so. So, yeah, it wasn't that big of a dumpster fire. It was okay for what it was worth, but there was really nothing more to add. So, yeah, it's completely yours, Floyo. It's all yours.
Yeah, this week's show was hot and cold, but both championship matches and the main event made it worth watching. I mean, those 3 matches, Lashley and Sheamus fight of the night. Second best fight of the night was the tag team title matchup. U.S. title match rounds out the top 3. The other stuff was meh. But the most improved, though, was, like it or not, it was the Shane O'Mac and Braun Strowman. I mean, the match, though. Not the verbal segment beforehand. That was a mess. But the quote-unquote match they had, which was more of an angle than a match, that was the most improved right there. And it actually added a little element of excitement. Not a whole lot, but a little. So because of all that, I'm going to pull the trigger and give it a solid 7. I mean, this was a 7 out of 10 show here tonight. I'm very pleased with how everything turned out. So, MF, hang about because we definitely have some interesting things to get into here on my Tony's Take here. And, well, there's one thing in particular that we're going to address in a little bit. But for right now, let's get into our review of the Impact Wrestling show from last Tuesday night on Access TV. And without any further ado, let's dive right on in. We had Tasha Steelz squaring off against Jazz. Jazz won the match. I don't have a time of the fall. 3-star match, a pretty good match. My expectations were low, but they managed to put on a fun sprint, and Tasha Steelz looked great, making for a better Jazz performance. Mahabali Shera and Rohit Raju against TNA Originals, James Storm and Chris Sabin. Storm and Sabin win the match, 3.25 stars. Good match thanks to the incredible tag work from Sabin and Storm. The sequence at the end was great and shows that Sabin and Storm, they're gaining chemistry. Rohit looked good as well, and Shera did his thing. Good little tag match there. Not bad. Trey Miguel against some guy named Sam Beal. Trey Miguel won that match. It was fine, I suppose. It was a bit overacted for my taste, but then again, there is a dude teleporting and playing mind games, so I'd be freaking out too. This angle's different, but I'm waiting for it to really pick up. And it will tomorrow night when Trey Miguel and Sami Callihan finally go one-on-one. Ace Austin versus Chris Bay. Chris Bay actually wins the match. Fight of the night, 3.75 star. Great match. Everything you'd want it to be. Ace largely controlled the match with Bay attempting to hit his bombs and eventually securing it with some assistance. Ace Austin is lighting it up this year, and Chris Bay isn't far behind. Nice upset win for Bay. No question about that. Susan against ODB. ODB wins the match. Worst fight of the night, 1 star. This was not good. But then again, I didn't expect it to be. Not much to say other than the Knockouts division needs a spark. But we're going to get a spark on the next show. And then the big announcement. Scott D'Amore comes out, makes a big announcement with Moose and Rich Swann at the Sacrifice special. Impact Wrestling World Title, TNA World Title, title for title. And the winner of this match will go up against Kenny Omega at the Rebellion pay-per-view on April 24th. And in that match, the Impact World Title and the AEW World Title. Title for title. Whoa. We'll get into that in just a moment when we get into the Sacrifice results. But 7.5 out of 10. Great show. They picked it up. They picked up the match quality. Any show with something like Chris Bay and Ace Austin is a treat. They really stole the show there. Not to mention the big announcement from D'Amore and some excellent tag team work from Sabin and Storm. This was a breeze to watch. I mean, the only low point was the Susan and ODB fight. But other than that, though, fantastic show. 7.5 for me. No question about that. And we'll get into the Impact pay-per-view shortly. For the special, rather, that was on Impact Plus. So, let's just do a quick run through of 205 Live, and then we'll get into that. Bollywood Boys against Kurt Stallion and Mansoor. Mansoor, Kurt Stallion win, 6 minutes, 26 seconds. 2-star match. Just another Bollywood Boys match, but with the added story of Mansoor and Stallion not getting along. Obviously, Stallion and Mansoor have both been treated as bigger deals than the Bollywood Boys, so the result was never in doubt. I was curious if they were going to let Mansoor run the entire bout, and that would have been fine, but I enjoyed the ending. They went with better. Nothing match really, but it continued 2 stories. Arya Davari against August Gray. August Gray, 13 minutes, 37 seconds, wins the match. 3 stars. They were given time, and you would think this is the blowout for their feud, but I guess Davari has something to gripe about with Gray using the ropes for leverage. Started slow, kind of bled to start, but picked up nicely as they got going, and we ended up with a good match. 6.5 out of 10. Average tag match with a decent story, and then a good match that took a bit to get going. Makes for a solid show, though not nearly on the level as the previous week. Overall, though, 205 Live continues to be a nice little wrestling show that is an easy watch, and this week was no different. So that's all there is to say on that. Now we're going to get into the sacrifice special that went down this past Saturday night on Impact Plus. And so without any further ado, I watched most of it. I only watched the I missed the first three matches because this past Saturday I was so wrapped up in the college hoops, mainly the Big East, but which ran over into this. But I missed the first three matches. I saw the tail end of the fourth, but I saw all the title matches. That I did. So but I'm not going to do a full review though. So first match, it was Decay, Black Taurus, and Crazy Steve against Reno Scum. Decay wins the match in an even 8 minutes. Mixed tag team matchup, Tennille Dashwood and Caleb with a K against Jessica Havoc and Nevaeh. And Tennille Dashwood and Caleb with a K, they win the match 6 minutes and 40 seconds. Diener and Joe Doring of Violent by Design against Chris Sabin and James Storm. Violent by Design win the match in 11 and a half minutes. And Violent by Design has a new member, Rhino. Rhino has joined Violent by Design. Oh boy, that's all I can say. Eddie Edwards versus Brian Myers in a hold harmless match. Eddie Edwards wins that match 16 minutes and 50 seconds. And now to the title matches. Knockouts tag team titles were the first on the line. Fire and Flava, Kiera Hogan and Tasha Steelz defending against Jordan Grace and Jazz. Winners of the match in 10 minutes and 25 seconds, and still the Knockouts Tag Team Champions, Fire and Flava, Kiera Hogan and Tasha Steelz. X Division Championship on the line, TJP defending against Ace Austin. Winner of the match in 12 minutes and 10 seconds. And new X Division champion, Ace Austin. He regains the title. He's now a 2-time champion. Knockouts title on the line, Deonna Purrazzo defending against ODB. Winner of the match in 8.5 minutes, and still Knockouts champion, Deonna Purrazzo. Now we're going to get into the final two matches. Impact World Tag Team Championship on the line. The Good Brothers, Doc Gallows, Carl Anderson, the defending against Finn Juice, David Finlay, and Juice Robinson from New Japan Pro Wrestling. Winners of the match in an even 15 minutes. And new Impact Wrestling World Tag Team Champions, David Finlay, Juice Robinson, Finn Juice. MF, how about it? All right. Move on. All right. Well, we'll move on to the main event of the evening, the unification match for the Impact World Championship and the TNA World Heavyweight Championship. Impact World Champion Rich Swann versus TNA World Heavyweight Champion Moose. Winner of the match in 20.5 minutes. And the unified, undisputed Impact Wrestling World Heavyweight Champion, Rich Swann. And now Rich Swann will go on to the Rebellion pay-per-view on Saturday night, April the 24th, and he will face Kenny Omega with the Impact Wrestling World title and the All Elite Wrestling AEW World Heavyweight Championship. Both of those will be on the line. I know MF had some theories about this. Something about Kenny Omega there. I know MF, you had some sort of theory about that, but there you go. That's the story from the Sacrifice event, and let me see. As far as what we're gonna have on the next Impact Wrestling show, let me see real quick, and then we'll get it here. All right, so on this show, we will see Sami Callihan versus Trey Miguel, 12-woman knockout tag team match Deanna Purrazzo, Fire and Flava, Kimberly, Susan, and Tennille Dashwood against Jordan Grace, Jazz, ODB, Jessica Havoc, Nevaeh, and Alicia Edwards. And it was also announced that FinJuice will be in action. I believe they're going to be going up against Reno Scum, I believe I saw. So that's what you can expect for Impact Wrestling tomorrow night. MF, before we go, do you have any comments on the happenings here? I mean, FinJuice, new Impact Wrestling World Tag Team Champions, and then of course the big main event coming up with Rich Swann against Kenny Omega at the Rebellion pay-per-view with the Impact and AEW World Championships on the line. I mean, like MF and Gorilla would say, it's going to be something else. So, all right. So that's going to put the bow on this edition of Ridiculously Raw. We want to thank you all so very much for tuning in. Now, Wednesday night, we're going to have a very special edition of Wednesday Night Mayhem. Because of the fact that MF is going to have work commitments beyond his control on Wednesday and Thursday, Wednesday Night Mayhem, I will be sitting in for MF for this edition of Wednesday Night Mayhem. Planning to start it immediately following NXT, because NXT has an overrun now, so I want to definitely get into that right away. Hopefully Bullock will be available for that show, and we'll go from there. Strictly Sports, I mean, we got a lot on the pipeline for that. The big story, obviously, Drew Brees announcing his retirement from the NFL and is now going to be he's going to be joining NBC Sports. He's going to be joining NBC's coverage. So I'm not at all surprised to hear that. And we'll get into some other things. We got to figure out what's on the docket here. I mean, I know there's a lot of big news coming out of the NFL with all the big free agent stuff going down. But there's so many transactions, yet so little time. So we'll only maybe get into the notable ones, and then we'll save the other ones for a future show. Friday, the Cerebral Smack Talk. MF will have that. Braves Fan 95 will run down Friday Night SmackDown, and which includes the big match between Edge and Jey Uso. Winner gets to be the enforcer for the match with Daniel Bryan and Roman Reigns for the Universal Championship at Fastlane, and then we'll preview the Fastlane pay-per-view, and then Sunday night we will recap it all. We'll recap the Fastlane event, and then we'll do this all again next week. So that is it. So until Wednesday night for Wednesday Night Mayhem, this is Anthony Florio here, signing off on behalf of my panel. Good old MF Michael Fletcher, the Phenom Michael Bullock, the Twisted Angel Didi Woodson, and always and forever FKG 401, the Hardcore Pipe Bomb Derek Ferreira. You know the routine, everybody. Thumbs up. Talk to you later. Yeah, throw it up Fortune 4 style. Bye for now, my friends. God bless. Be good to each other. Have a blessed couple of days. And until Wednesday night for Mayhem, you've been watching Ridiculously Raw right here on the Tone 25 on YouTube and Streamy.com. And remember, no matter what anyone tells you, and beyond anything else, wrestling is indeed actually real. For everybody who's been a part of this one, for now, Anthony Florio, so long. Bye, everybody. Bye.